In 2014, I signed up for my first improv class. Now, when somebody signs up for an improv class, they usually look like this. But no, I looked like this. I was so terrified my first day. I actually was so terrified that I realized I had the power to sweat through my eyes in tear form. I thought I could actually die up there. And by up there, I'm referring to the stage where I was surrounded by kind and accepting people. My heart wanted me to open myself up to new experiences, to try something new, to challenge myself, but my brain wanted me to run out the door. My inner critic was louder than ever. What if you get up on stage and can't think of anything to say? I mean, it's improv. You just make it up. Oh yeah, don't forget to be funny. I didn't realize it till later, but my inner critic was actually trying to do me a favor. Yeah. Wait, I was? See, your inner critic doesn't say, don't do that thing because it thinks you can't. It says it because it's trying to protect you. Your inner critic is basically like a helicopter mom. Honey, I am not trying to destroy your social life. I'm just trying to keep you safe. Now, are you sure you don't want your bedtime storybook? I know it helps you sleep at night. No. Okay, call me if you change your mind. Your inner critic comes from this fear of failure or embarrassment or rejection, but what your inner critic doesn't realize is that failure is a form of growth and success. So even though my inner critic was trying to keep me from being embarrassed, it almost kept me from finding something I loved. Despite all the fear, I stayed, I played, and I got a few laughs along the way. I laughed once. Fast forward to 2020, I had performed on dozens of stages, performed for hundreds of people, and finally got to quieting my inner critic when I decided to do stand-up comedy. And my inner critic just decided to follow along. The same inner critic was back with the same old lines. Oh yes, what did I... Oh, here it is. What if you forget a joke? Everyone will just sit there in shock as you stand there in shock. Yeah, this ain't improv anymore, baby. Thankfully, regardless of how harsh my inner critic was during that time, I lived to tell the tale. My first open mic was actually on Zoom, so I was safe, right, from any rejection or any embarrassment. All right, I'm almost up. Look, I'm in my room, on my computer. No one is even in here. I'm all alone. I'm safe. All right, up next, we are bringing to the digital stage Shay Dominguez. Shay, you there? Wait, Shay, I think you're frozen. I did my 5 minutes, and I came out of there sweating and shaking like a hog. Ah, that's what you reminded me of. Now, did I crush it? No. Did I survive? Yes. Did I accidentally tell one of my jokes backwards? Yes. But here's the thing. Our inner critic is limited in its abilities. Sure, it can point out our flaws under a microscope, but can it write me a better punchline? Can it go out on stage as me and try the joke again? Can it imagine everyone in the audience in just their underwear? Ugh, I wish. Our inner critic can spot every flaw, every reason why something may not work, but it can never make something better. It's like the coworker at work who in a meeting points out all of the issues in your workplace but doesn't volunteer to fix any of them. Great job, Malcolm, for pointing out all the bugs in our app. Now, who wants to solve them? Anyone? Malcolm? Where'd Malcolm go? And sometimes our inner critic can be right. I had a writing partner for some time doing stand-up, and she had been doing stand-up for a few months, and I was sharing my fears with her. I'm just scared. What if I get up there and no one laughs? Yeah. That's gonna happen. Oh no. Or maybe it's a year after you've done a project and nobody has noticed. Or maybe it's after you're dead. Yeah, I could see that. Now, I understand that's not very motivational, but Van Gogh wasn't recognized for his work until after he died. Can you imagine living your life to be recognized, dying, and then looking down from Angel HQ like, cool, I guess, but dead me doesn't get to enjoy caviar and drive fancy cars. The good news for you is the power is fully in your hands. You can create a better piece of art. You can continue to work on your stand-up set. You can continue to implement routines and habits that level up your life. And the only way for you to get better and create better is for you to continue taking action to get there. Don't let your inner critic stop you. It's not up to them, it's up to you. Well then, I guess I'll just stay here and be quiet. Not. What's up guys, this is another camera that I'm trying out. It's on my phone, but if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you would like it, if you would subscribe to the channel so you can get more motivation and comedy so you can continue to create. And if you want more, I send out a weekly newsletter every Tuesday. Cool little fun little story time to give you even more motivation, more inspiration, tips, tricks, magic, all that stuff so you can go out there, continue being your best self and continue creating. Let's get back to the video. Do you recognize when your inner critic starts to creep in? It usually comes at specific times. Your inner critic shows up when you're stepping out of your comfort zone. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you probably have never heard your inner critic screaming at you as you're binge watching Netflix.
My bad.
Hey, pass the popcorn.
Both on high plugged in the same outlet.
You know you're cooler than I thought.
The thing is,
But if you want to get stronger, you have to stop playing small. Sure, you can do improv on Zoom with a few friends, or you can do a stand-up set for your roommates in your apartment. And that's a start. But if you want to get better, if you want to grow, you have to go bigger. You have to step in front of a bigger crowd. You have to get into a bigger space. And then after that, keep going bigger. When I started improv, it was in a small class. It was terrifying, but it was manageable. And then next, it was a showcase for family and friends and other improvisers. Scarier, but still okay. And then came the bigger stages where the audience was full of strangers. Same with stand-up. Open mics were one thing, just performing for usually the same old comedians over and over again. But the shows with real crowds who paid money for you to make them laugh, that's when my critic went nuts. But that's also when I grew the most. And sometimes I surprised myself with how well I did or how much fun I had performing under that type of pressure. The bigger the stage, the bigger the stakes, the bigger the critic. So if you want to get stronger, you have to take the leap. You have to go bigger and you have to show up scared, because that is where the magic happens. Oh, you're doing magic now. Magically going to do comedy? I have performed for lots of people, been on camera, made social media videos, YouTube videos, written sketches, scripts, blogs, rapped, did a podcast, and I still can't get rid of this guy. I'm a lady, and you're still not funny. No matter how hard I've tried to ban my inner critic from my head, it still shows up. How you doing? I can't let you in her head. Come on, let me in. I know the owner. Can't do it. No one thinks you're strong, by the way. Some of the most successful people say their inner critic never leaves. Maya Angelou once admitted, I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're gonna find me out. Many people think the way to beating their inner critic is to eliminate it completely, but that is not the answer. The answer is learning how to tame it. If you live in a cage with an unkillable tiger, would you spend all of your energy trying to kill the tiger? Or would you spend it rather on trying to tame it?
You're using an animal killing analogy to motivate people?
One way to tame your inner critic is to take massive, consistent action. Alex Hormozy says that if you're anxious to do something, whether that's giving a talk, a speech, making a sales pitch, doing a stand-up comedy set, that means you just need to prepare more. Because when you do something so many times, your inner critic starts to get quieter. Steph Curry shoots at least 500 shots every day. Do you think his inner critic is screaming at him, "You suck"? No. Instead, it's sitting in a corner sucking on its own thumb while Steph Curry is on the court shooting no-look three-pointers.
Cross-court Curry. Curry for three. Puts it in.
So just do something enough times and you will build the competence and the confidence that will help quiet your inner critic. Showing up and doing the work is enough for your inner critic to be over in the corner shaking in its boots.
At least they're stylish.
Another way to tame your inner critic is hanging out with successful people who are good at that. Now, of course, in person is best, but if you can't do that, watch their YouTube videos, read their books, and you'll see how they quiet their inner critic and open your mind to what's actually possible. If I'd listened to my inner critic in 2014, I'd still be watching improv from the audience thinking, I could never do that.
I was also thinking that.
If I'd listened to it in 2020 and didn't do stand-up, I wouldn't be able to be here telling you this story today. You know what? Sometimes my inner critic was right. Sometimes I flopped on a scene. Sometimes I messed up a punchline. But every time I stepped out on that stage, I got better. And at the end of it, I was able to say, I did it. So go do the thing that scares you. Sure, the inner critic will always talk.
Wait, are you posting this? I can't believe you're posting this.
But you don't have to listen.
Hello? Is anyone there?